Picture this. You're standing in a coffee shop just waiting for your drink.
Oh, the classic coffee shop scenario.
Right. The espresso machine is hissing in the background. People are typing away on their laptops, and the whole place has that low, comfortable hum.
Yeah, it's a very specific vibe.
Exactly. And then across the room, you notice someone who instantly catches your attention. For a brief second, you think, maybe I should go say hello. But almost instantly, your brain just starts racing.
It goes into complete overdrive, like flooding your system with a dozen different terrifying scenarios all at once.
Yeah. The internal monologue kicks into high gear. It's like, what if she thinks I'm weird? What if I interrupt her? What if I walk over there and just say something completely stupid?
What's the perfect opening line?
Yes. And within just a few seconds, you've imagined every possible way this tiny interaction could go catastrophically wrong. Your heart is beating faster. Your palms actually feel sweaty.
Literally sweaty palms over a hello.
Right. And before you even take a single step toward them, you've already decided not to do it. You just watch them grab their latte, walk out the door, and you mutter to yourself, maybe next time.
It is a universally recognizable moment. I mean, if you are listening to this right now and nodding along, you are far from alone. Millions of men experience this exact freeze response.
Every single day, in every city in the world.
Yep, it's incredibly common.
And that brings us to the core paradox of today's deep dive. Because this phenomenon, it usually has very little to do with how confident or intelligent or attractive someone is.
That's the crazy part, isn't it?
It's an incredible contradiction. I mean, there are highly successful men out there who can confidently lead a boardroom. They can negotiate these massive, high-stakes business deals.
Speak in front of hundreds of people.
Exactly, without breaking a single drop of sweat. But put them in that coffee shop. Ask them to say a simple hello to someone they find attractive, and they completely freeze.
It's totally baffling on the surface. How can the same brain that thrives in a high-pressure corporate environment just completely shut down in a low-stakes social setting?
That is exactly the mission of our deep dive today. We're going to unpack the psychology of this analysis paralysis. We're going to explore exactly why our own brains betray us in these moments.
And, more importantly, reveal the surprisingly simple shifts needed to stop freezing and start actually connecting.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because the core issue here isn't a lack of communication skills.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's not that you don't know how to formulate a sentence in English. The real challenge is the intense internal mental race that is happening entirely before you even open your mouth.
Right. Most people assume they're freezing up because they're, missing some magical pickup line.
Like a secret code or something.
Yeah, exactly. Some secret conversational technique. So they spend hours watching videos, trying to memorize conversation starters, trying to engineer the absolute perfect way to make a first impression.
Which just makes it worse, right?
Oh, absolutely. The reality is that the more you prepare in that rigid way, the more pressure you actually create for yourself. Instead of feeling ready, you become trapped inside your own thoughts.
It's a complete state of analysis paralysis. I mean, overthinking fundamentally prevents action because you're trying to solve a social interaction like it's a math equation.
And your brain is doing that because it is desperately searching for certainty.
Certainty.
Yeah. The human brain is essentially a predictive processing machine. It wants to know exactly what is going to happen next so it can keep you safe.
Yeah.
It wants a guaranteed positive outcome.
But you can't guarantee anything with people.
No, you can't. It's searching for certainty in a social situation where certainty simply does not exist.
Yeah.
Human beings are wildly unpredictable. You cannot script their reactions.
So the brain just short circuits.
Basically. Rather than helping you navigate the moment, your brain starts treating every possible mistake, every tiny conversational misstep, as a catastrophic event that must be avoided at all costs.
So the result is that you say nothing.
You say nothing. And ironically, the silence you choose to avoid embarrassment becomes the exact thing you regret later when they walk out the door.
Wow. It really makes me think about where we place our focus. Like, when you're in that state, your attention is entirely inward.
100%.
You're monitoring every single movement you make. You're policing every word, every facial expression, every pause in the conversation. It's like trying to drive a car while staring only at the steering wheel.
Oh, that is a great way to put it.
Right. You're hyper-fixated on the mechanics of your own control, but you're completely ignoring the road, the scenery, the other cars. The more control you try to force, the less natural the driving becomes. You're inevitably going to crash because you aren't actually looking at the environment around you.
That is a brilliant analogy for what happens in social interactions. When you stare at the steering wheel, You completely disconnect from the other person.
You're not even really there with them.
Yes, exactly. If we look at the most engaging people we know, the ones we genuinely enjoy talking to, they aren't constantly searching for perfect sentences.
Yeah.
They don't speak in highly edited prose.
They just talk.
They just talk. They laugh when something is naturally funny. They ask questions because they are actually curious about the answer. They react organically instead of performing like they're reading from a teleprompter.
And that organic reaction is what makes a conversation feel genuine and, magnetic.
Right.
But when you're caught in that analysis paralysis, you lose all that natural reactivity. It creates this terrible self-feeding cycle of awkwardness.
It really is a loop.
You overthink because you're afraid of failure. That intense overthinking makes you stiff, which makes you act awkwardly.
And then that awkwardness serves as proof to your brain.
Yeah.
It convinces you that you are just inherently bad at talking to people.
So you psych yourself out for next time.
Exactly. The next time you meet someone new, your brain references that uncomfortable experience, flags it as a threat, and you become even more cautious. Without even realizing it, you've trained your own nervous system to freeze before every single opportunity.
Man. Which brings us to the physical reaction. Because it's one thing to have a mental block, but it's another to literally feel your heart pounding in your chest and your breath getting shallow.
The physical symptoms are very real.
Yeah. If the absolute worst realistic outcome in that coffee shop is just a slightly awkward moment, why does the body react like it's in an active war zone?
Well, to make sense of this, we have to look backward in human history. We have to step into evolutionary psychology.
Okay, take us back.
So, while this field doesn't explain every single nuance of the human experience, it provides an incredibly useful framework for understanding why social rejection feels so emotionally devastating.
Right.
You have to imagine how humans lived tens of thousands of years ago. We survived in very small, tight-knit tribes of maybe 50 to 100 people.
Everyone knew everyone.
Right. And in that ancient environment, being accepted by the group wasn't just about feeling warm and fuzzy or having someone to chat with by the fire.
It was literal survival.
Yes.
Social acceptance meant access to food, to shared shelter, to physical protection from predators. If you were rejected or marginalized or isolated from your tribe, it severely reduced your chances of staying alive.
Exactly. Our brains evolved a kind of sociometer, an internal gauge that constantly monitors our social standing. Because prehistoric caloric intake and physical safety depended entirely on group inclusion, the brain evolved to treat social acceptance as a literal life or death metric.
Wait, so you're telling me my brain literally equates getting a cold shoulder at a bookstore with being thrown to the wolves? That feels like a massive stretch. My logical brain knows I'm not in physical danger just because someone looking at a menu didn't want to talk to me.
What's fascinating here is that your logical brain is actually the newest, weakest piece of hardware in your head. Yeah. The prefrontal cortex knows you aren't going to starve to death if a stranger ignores you. But the nervous system's hardwiring is incredibly ancient and incredibly powerful.
The caveman brain.
Right, the part of your brain that processes social threat, the amygdala. It doesn't know you live in a modern world with grocery stores and climate-controlled apartments. It acts as a hypersensitive smoke detector.
So it just goes off at the slightest hint of danger.
It just registers social rejection imminent, and it floods your body with adrenaline. Your brain hasn't completely caught up with modern life, so it reacts to the possibility of a polite brush-off as though your actual survival is at stake.
It's actively overestimating the danger to protect me. Like, it's better to trigger a false alarm than to miss a real fire.
That's exactly it. It is aggressively overestimating the danger to protect you from emotional discomfort. It triggers the racing heart, the shallow breathing, the worst-case scenario visions.
So it's not a flaw.
No, it's not a sign of weakness at all. It's a sign of a very active, fully functioning survival mechanism. But the reality check we have to force upon ourselves is this. What is the worst realistic outcome today?
Right. What actually happens?
Maybe they smile politely and say they're in a rush. Maybe they just don't seem interested and look back at their phone. Maybe the conversation lasts 5 awkward seconds. None of those outcomes are life-changing catastrophes.
But because the brain feels this immense ancient survival pressure, it frantically searches for a magic shield. It wants a guarantee of safety. And here's where it gets really interesting. Because that search for a shield is exactly what leads people straight into the trap of the memorized pickup line.
Ugh, the perfect pickup line. We see so much advice out there promising these foolproof conversation starters, claiming they work every single time.
Right, the stuff you see all over the internet.
Exactly. And on paper, Some of them might sound clever or funny or highly impressive, but they almost universally fail in the real world because memorized lines don't actually remove your fear. They amplify it.
It really comes down to the mechanics of how our brains process information in real time, doesn't it?
It does. Think about the concept of cognitive load or working memory. Your brain only has so much RAM available at any given moment.
Like a computer.
Exactly like a computer. When you rely on a memorized script, instead of just walking over and saying a simple hello, you have added an immense amount of processing pressure to the situation.
You're trying to remember the exact wording.
Yes. You are using up like 90% of your brain's RAM, trying to remember the exact sequence of words, focusing on delivering them with the perfect inflection, and anticipating a very specific scripted reaction from the other person.
Which leaves you with almost nothing for the actual conversation.
You're left with only 10% of your brain power to actually listen to them, read their body language, and understand the context of the moment.
Wow.
If they deviate from the script you have in your head, your system just crashes. The interaction transforms from a genuine attempt to connect into a rigid performance.
And humans have this incredible, almost subconscious radar for performance. It makes me think of receiving a call from a telemarketer.
Oh, that is the perfect example.
You pick up the phone, they say one sentence, and even if they sound incredibly friendly, you instantly know they are reading off a script.
You can just feel it.
The cadence is unnatural. There's no real breathing space. The rhythm is entirely dictated by the words on their page, not the energy of the conversation. And what happens? Your guard immediately goes up.
Immediate.
You're no longer having a conversation. You're just waiting for them to stop talking so you can hang up.
That is exactly how a rehearsed pickup line lands. People are highly attuned to when someone is present with them versus when someone is performing for them.
We can smell the performance.
Yes, we can. True conversations are not monologues. They're built from organic, unpredictable reactions. Someone says something, you process what you actually heard, and you respond back. The conversation grows organically. Authenticity is vastly more attractive than perfection because authenticity requires presence.
There is a vital shift that has to happen here. It's moving away from the mindset of, how do I impress this person? And shifting entirely to, I'm curious to learn who this person is.
That is a game changer.
Right. Instead of burning all your RAM on a rehearsed line, it's just something observational and real, like, hey, I noticed your book looked interesting. Have you read it before?
That mental shift from performing to being curious removed an enormous amount of pressure. You are no longer trying to win an interaction. You're just opening a door to see what's behind it.
It's so much simpler.
It is. And ironically, when you stop trying so hard to appear confident through a script, that is often when you appear the most confident. True confidence isn't about having the perfect words. It's about being comfortable enough in your own skin to let a conversation unfold naturally wherever it might go.
So if the scripts don't work, we're left relying entirely on our biology. And right now, our biology is screaming at us to run away.
Yeah.
How do we turn off that physical alarm bell in the moment?
Right.
We have to tackle the physical body before we try to wrangle the mind.
This is a crucial step that most people just skip entirely. When you are anxious, your brain is constantly scanning your physical body for feedback.
What kind of feedback?
Well, your shoulders tighten up and rise toward your ears. Your breathing becomes shallow, trapped in your upper chest. Your muscles tense. The brain notices all these physical signals of tension and confirms its own bias.
It says, see, I told you we were in danger.
Exactly. It says, our shoulders are raised, our breath is short, there must be a predator. We are bracing for impact. This ascending signal creates a feedback loop, pumping out more adrenaline and increasing your anxiety.
You have to short-circuit that physical loop.
Yes.
The very first step is just dropping your shoulders. Taking one slow, deep breath into your belly. By relaxing your physical posture, you send a completely different message back up to your brain.
You are engaging the vagus nerve, which acts as the primary brake pedal for your parasympathetic nervous system.
Brake pedal, I like that.
Yeah, a slow, deep breath physically stimulates that nerve, which releases acetylcholine, literally slowing down your heart rate. You are physiologically signaling to your amygdala, everything is okay. We are safe.
So you force the body to calm down, and the brain follows.
Exactly. And once the body is slightly calmer, the next step is to drastically lower the standard you've set for the interaction.
What do you mean by that?
Well, Many men harbor this belief that this one initial conversation will determine everything, that they must prove they are funny, charming, intelligent, and completely unforgettable within the first 30 seconds.
Which is an impossible standard for anyone to meet.
Completely impossible. You have to reframe the goal. The goal isn't to earn their approval or dazzle them. The goal is simply to meet another human being and see if the conversation feels enjoyable for both of you.
You're checking them out, too.
Right. You are evaluating the interaction just as much as they are. This levels the playing field.
Part of lowering that standard means embracing the idea of saying less and thinking less. When we overthink, we're constantly scanning our brains for the perfect next sentence.
Trying to fill the space.
Right. But if you notice something interesting, just mention it. If you're curious, ask. And if you don't know what to say next, a brief pause is totally normal.
This is where so many people falter the moment the words stop.
But let's be real, when you're standing in front of someone you just met and the conversation just stops and there's that dead air feels like literal death. The instinct to just run away is overpowering.
This raises an important question about what we perceive as failure. Why does that silence feel like death?
Right. Why does it panic us so much?
It feels that way because of the dancing monkey syndrome. You are still operating under the assumption that you have to perform to have value in the interaction. You feel you must keep them constantly entertained.
So any silence means I'm failing at entertaining them.
Exactly. The urge to frantically fill every second of silence is a symptom of anxiety. It screams, I am uncomfortable. Letting a pause sit, just breathing, maintaining relaxed eye contact, and not rushing to fill the void projects immense comfort and presence.
So the silence itself isn't a failure.
No, not at all. The panic flailing about the silence is what makes it awkward.
The panic makes it awkward, not the quiet. I love that. But what if you take the deep breath, you drop your shoulders, you walk over, you let the pause happen, and you still stumble over your words?
It happens.
Right, so the final shift we need to make is completely redefining our relationship with awkwardness and what confidence actually means.
We spend so much energy trying to hide our nervousness, thinking it's a fatal flaw. Trying too hard to mask it usually makes it far more obvious and uncomfortable for everyone involved.
It's like the elephant in the room.
Yes, radical honesty creates a much faster and deeper connection than pretending to be an unshakable James Bond character.
Let's think about two different approaches to this. Imagine guy one. He walks over using a polished, memorized script. Every sentence is grammatically perfect, the delivery is smooth, but nothing about it feels genuine.
Because it's a performance.
Right. He's totally focused on saying the right thing, which means he's burning all his RAM on his performance and isn't actually listening to her at all.
He is physically present, but emotionally absent.
Now imagine guy two. He walks over, smiles, and just says, "Hi. I was a little nervous about coming over to say hello, but you seemed really interesting, so I just thought I'd introduce myself."
The question is, which person feels more human?
Definitely guy two.
For the vast majority of people, guy two is far more engaging. His authenticity, even with the admission of nervousness, makes him memorable. It completely removes the barrier. It says, I am a real person, I am experiencing a real emotion, and I'm putting myself out there.
This brings us to the ultimate truth about confidence. We have this backward idea that confidence is a prerequisite. We think we need to feel confident before we can walk across that coffee shop.
If we connect this to the bigger picture of human behavioral change, the reality is that action always comes first.
Action first.
Yes. Confidence is not the prerequisite. Confidence is the lagging indicator. It is the reward. Every highly confident person you see out in the world has experienced awkward conversations.
You've all messed up.
They have stumbled. They have faced rejection. The difference isn't that they were magically born without an amygdala or without fear. The difference is that they didn't wait for the fear to completely disappear before they took action. They acted alongside the fear.
They took the step while their heart was still racing.
Your brain will only stop treating these conversations as dangerous survival threats after you survive them repeatedly.
You have to prove it to your brain.
Exactly. When you take the action and the conversation goes well, or even if it's just neutral, or even if it's terribly awkward but you walk away totally fine, your brain logs that data. It learns, oh, we didn't die. We weren't cast out of the tribe to starve.
We're safe.
Yes. You are collecting empirical evidence that you can handle uncertainty. That is how confidence is built. It is built by surviving uncomfortable moments, not by successfully avoiding them.
So what does this all mean? Let's bring this all together for you. If you want to stop freezing and start connecting, you have to recognize that your brain is playing a well-intentioned but outdated trick on you.
It's just trying to help, but it's using old software.
Exactly. It's running on ancient survival software that treats a modern coffee shop like the prehistoric wilderness. To override that, you have to drop the rehearsed pickup lines. They just eat up your cognitive bandwidth and turn you into a performer.
Drop the lines, drop your shoulders.
Right. Drop your shoulders and take a belly breath to engage your vagus nerve and signal safety to your nervous system. Replace the immense pressure to impress someone with a simple, genuine curiosity to learn about them.
And just accept the awkwardness.
Accept that it might be a little awkward, and know that your honesty in that awkwardness is far more attractive than a fake, polished script.
Success in these moments is not measured by whether the conversation leads to a date, a number, or a relationship. Success is entirely measured by whether you had the courage to show up as your authentic self in the face of uncertainty.
And that leaves us with a final thought I want you to mull over today. In social interactions, action must precede confidence. We don't get the confidence until we actually do the thing. If confidence is simply the reward for surviving the awkwardness of saying hello, what other impossible things in your life are you currently waiting to feel confident about before you finally take action? Because maybe the only way to get that confidence is to just take the breath, walk across the room, and see what happens.